Hello, and welcome to Bring On the Medicine, a holistic healer summit. My name is Janae Robinson. I am the owner of Janae's Essentials in Burley, Idaho. I am a life coach, a yoga therapist, and the host of this summit. I am here with Debbie Collins. Debbie is a spiritual life coach, Reiki and mindset master teacher, podcaster, author, real estate broker and investor, business owner, wife, mom of 4, and Nonna of 11. Debbie has been consciously on her spiritual journey since 2013 and has found her power and followed God's path. And she wrote about her first year of awakening in her book, Ruby Slippers 1111, The Journey to My Soul. She has grown spiritually with twists and turns along the way of forgiveness, courage, strength, and growth. She has always loved Jesus, but now has a relationship with Jesus, which led her to the realization that God needed to be restored within politics. So she began to learn more about politics, and over the past 5 years has been involved with local politics in her community to be more engaged, to do her civic duty, and assist in bringing God back into politics. As she learned her power of God within her, she has brought it into her family and shares and teaches others about her journey and guides and assists women of all ages to find your own truth, stand in your power of God within you, so you can share, teach, and love your journey. Welcome, Debbie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Yes.
We're already having fun.
Yes, we're already having fun.
We always have fun together.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Debbie, I wanted to ask you, what does health and wellness mean to you?
Right off the bat, you're just gonna. Well, you know what's interesting is what it. So, like, the spiritual journey is always going, right? You're always on it. It's twists and turns, like you were saying. And what I thought it was 10 years ago or 5 years ago or last week or yesterday is different than today. So I could probably only speak to how I am today because I've grown and changed and shifted along the way. Health and wellness today really, for me, means to really get grounded in peace, to really unwind the monkey mind, you know, stay grounded, get a clear connection to God, and remove anything that's in the way. So, you know, foods and different drinks and different things that we do in our daily routine to try to get to a place where you can find your path to wellness, because it's not one way. You know, you want to lose weight, so you think you go on a diet, but you haven't solved the problem, right? Why are you, you know what I mean? Why are you eating? Why are you eating those foods? For me, it's mostly I've been programmed
Yes.
by marketing.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I'm also Italian, and so you just take food for example. You know, my nonna was, if you're sad, you ate, you fed them, and if they fed us, and if we were happy, you had a big meal, and if you you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
then my grandparents were all from the Depression, so you left nothing on your plate, right? Nothing. Whatever you put on your plate, you ate. So there's all of that stuff, not bad or anything, but that's kind of what happens, right? So it's really, I think, taking one little step at a time in each little place that you need to find more health and wellness in your life, and just keep going in that direction and not really have judgment on yourself, because we're all programmed. So it's unwinding program, maybe PTSD comes in, traumas, triggers, right? It's all over the place and it could come and go. So it's really just staying grounded, clearing, I always like to say, return to sender all energies that are not mine. so that I know what I'm left with, because that's mine. And then from
Right.
there, yeah. So it changes over time, but that's kind of where I would say, like, for me, I think once you get that connection, you can find it. And it's everybody's different. Everybody has different places. Does that make sense?
It does. And I feel like it's so integrated within you. Like sometimes it's even hard to really define. And
Yeah, it's
I
hard
love,
to define.
yeah, it's hard to define because I've known you for a long time. And so you've even told me with the Ruby Slippers book, you were like, oh, well, that was the old me. Like that
Yeah.
was the beginning of my journey. And
Mm-hmm.
you're a completely different person as
Mm-hmm.
far as what you do and the refinement that goes
Yeah.
in these journeys
Yeah.
that go on.
It's very interesting. So it's not like, as far as like health and wellness, would it be a certain weight or a certain this or a certain that? It's not, I guess. And that's where releasing the judgment of where you think you're supposed to be is programming.
Yes.
So we're start with the grounding and release everything that doesn't belong to you, and then find out where you're at and find out how to get to where you need to be. If that
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's
For
kind of
sure.
what, yeah.
Well, and I feel like you trained me, you actually attuned me to Reiki. And so that started a whole journey for me. And being able to see the programming, that the things that don't serve me anymore,
Yeah.
all of those types of things. And we can finally get back to the truth,
Mm-hmm.
the truth of who we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, what started you in the work that you do? I mean, you have a really long list, and so I'm going to let you
Which
kind
part? The spiritual
and
part?
this is a holistic healers summit. So why don't
Yeah.
you start with, and I don't know what
So,
first.
I was turning 50 and I had a dream, and it's in the book that a teacher came to me and said, you need to get to class, like really abruptly, like just slamming it in my face. You need to get to class. I was like, what does that mean? I have no idea. So, I just, started trying to figure out, I knew there was more. I knew that I, stopped, maybe not the power part, but intuition. It wasn't what people would think I was crazy. So I just kind of blocked it out. Right. And then I was in real estate. So you're in that matrix of, in the matrix, right? You're just in the day to day routine, and there's a lot of ego in there, and this, that, and the other. So all of that kind of stuff, I was like, who am I? You know, I was kind of lost at that point, but I still functioned fine. Like, you wouldn't know I was crazy inside. I just was. I functioned that way. It was just um, but I knew there was more, and but I didn't know. So I literally surrendered to it, um, and just kind of followed the path as long as it did. But it did scare me. Some of it did scare me, but I kept going because it wasn't like, um, it just, I don't know why the fear was there. I guess I could dig into that a little bit, but um, it was so odd, right? Like, spiritual journeys are so crazy.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
yes.
and then I'm married, right? And then I have a family, and then now all of a sudden I'm going to change who I am, and so I just kind of did it my way, quietly, and just started dabbling in different things. And there were some times when I would go one way and I knew it was wrong. Like, that was interesting because it wasn't of God, and I didn't have that factor yet. Although I love Jesus, totally believe in God and Jesus, but I was, no relationship. So, um, that was interesting how that kind of played in. And then, I just kept believing, you know how you just keep believing and believing and believing, and I knew I was on the right path. So I just kind of let it happen. And then sometimes I look back and go, I have no idea how how I got here. It's just,
Yeah.
it's wild. It's wild.
It
But
really is a one day at a time kind of a thing.
it was totally one day at a
Yeah.
time. And sometimes it was one day and 3 days off. Like literally, that's what it felt like. Even though that's not true, I would be like, oh yeah, I can't do this anymore, and I need some time off. And of course, it doesn't work that way. But for me, I'm just going back to the Matrix for for a
Yeah.
few days
Yeah.
because it's safer there because I know what's crazy there, right? I can live in
Yeah.
that crazy. So
Oh,
it
yeah.
was it was all the energies trying to flow and make it work. And I went to one spiritual healer and she said, "Do you want to?" Or she knew that I should be doing energy work, healing work, and she said, "Do you want to stay married?" That's what she asked me, and I said, "What?" She says, "Do you want to stay married? Because a lot of people can't stay married through this."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I said, "Oh, absolutely. I'm staying married through this." She goes, "Well, we're gonna have to take it a little slower then."
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, because they also, right? You're married, they
Yes.
have to grow with you, but
Yes.
otherwise you can grow and then you're going
Right.
two different ways. And I said, no, the path needs to be, I'm not leaving him behind spiritually, even though I believe at the time he was, if you're going to say higher, I would say he was further along than I was in his own way, more biblically than I was. Um, so that's interesting, right? It's
Yeah. So interesting. And I'm happy that you brought that up because every time that we do have um, a journey or spiritual experiences, life experiences, we have an opportunity to grow our container.
hmm
And so sometimes we're growing our container very intentionally, and other times we're just surviving. And so,
completely accurate.
and marriage, right? And it's
Yeah.
like one person might just be surviving.
Yep.
And I mean, I remember telling Mark that when we moved to Idaho, um, I said, because I had a miracle that had happened. And so I said, my Bare Minerals primer, it's done. So I know you're going to get this job because I had made a pact with God. Like I literally challenged God and I said, I went to First Kings and it was the widow of Zarephath. And I said, I know you love me as much as you love her. And she's the one that went to the town square and the prophet said, go make me some bread. And she knew that her and her son were going to die because that was their last meal. And I felt that I was in that way too. And I just remember the look that he gave me. Like I was so insane for even believing that.
Yeah.
And so it's my container was just in a different place than his was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I feel that, there may be some people that are watching today that are maybe this is the first exposure that they've had to something spiritual, or they might have that little tug on their heart of, oh, I feel crazy too on the inside.
Oh, I felt insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what advice would you have for
You're
someone?
not insane. Yeah. The insane part is that we're so programmed in our day-to-day lives, right? We've got television, which tele-vision. I mean, it's all right there. All the marketing that's on television that programs us to buy certain things, just that alone, right? Songs, there's words, things that our grandparents told us that because they were told, right? And taught certain ways that really aren't spiritual based. Um, they're negative energies. Apples don't, or money doesn't grow on trees, and things like silly little things that one sentence can always make you think you're never going to have enough, or you're never going to be rich, or what is rich, right? And then so there's a whole spiral right there. um so it unwinding the old programming and putting in the God programming.
Yeah.
That's the key. But
Yeah.
yeah, you'll feel crazy while you're doing it. That's
Absolutely.
totally normal.
Yeah.
Totally normal.
Did you have anybody challenge you or judge you during this time
Oh
that
yeah.
kind of what, maybe made you second guess yourself
Yep.
or yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would say along the path, certain well, you want to be careful, right? That's how I was. I was like, I want to be careful because certain people might think I'm crazy, certain people might think I'm a witch, certain people might call me, I don't know, like I'm doing something that's not of God, right? So
Right.
it was very, at the very beginning of the journey, it was like, it will always be of God. That's all I will do. Like, I'm not into any of the other stuff. So it's all of God. It's Jesus, the archangels. Um, and that's kind of, I just set that in stone. I am a child of God, and this is the path. So light this path up because this is the
Right.
only one
Right.
I'm going on. Yeah.
Well, and I used to think that because I use Christ energy in my Reiki.
Yes.
I mean, he's literally behind me, channeling through me to my clients. And I used to think, because you hear people say, well, there's all kinds of energies, and you tapping out of some energies. And I just felt like I don't need anything more. And one of the things that you taught me was there's no wrong way to do this work.
Right.
And that was just power that was handed to me to where I get to decide my spirituality. I get to choose how I do this. And
Mhm.
you also taught me to have the highest intention, the highest good for all. And so I feel like we can kind of get through a lot of crazy with God on our side and the
Absolutely.
highest good for all. Um,
Absolutely.
and I think the crazy part really does come from letting that programming go because it's so, I mean, I can,
Detaching from that, have you ever tried to upgrade on your computer? I mean, the
yeah,
computer goes zap, right? It
yes,
feels
yeah,
like your mind is zap,
right.
completely zapping out.
Yeah,
And sometimes you need to not really take 3 days off, like I was talking about, but just like maybe take a walk, go barefoot on the lawn, just get back to the grounded part and just know you're not crazy. When you feel that way, you're literally coming out of it. So birthing is not always easy.
no, it's
And
not.
that's what you're doing, really.
Yeah, I
So,
think so too. I feel that it's more so just getting back to your authentic self. And
absolutely.
and because we do have all of these egos that we put up for safety, we put up for protection, all of that stuff, and that starts to fall away. It it's different. We do show up different.
Yeah,
We do.
absolutely. And I'm still a real estate broker,
Yeah.
but I do it differently now. And there are certain places that I don't really want to be because there's still an ego. And real estate is spiritual too. Your home, right? Your sacred space. So the way our company does it is the deal will go together if it's supposed to. If it's of God, it's going to go together. And we don't force anything. We don't put deals together that we know are not right. We just won't do it. Um,
What
so,
trust, you know, what trust
mhm,
that you have in that.
yeah,
That's beautiful.
and that's taken some years,
Yeah. Well, of
right? Because
course.
the programming is go sell, go sell, go sell.
Yes.
Um, cutthroat, go after it, blah blah, and I won't do it. I just won't do it. I No. If God wants this deal to go together, it'll go together. If they want that specific client to work with me, and then they will. I'm not a hard sale. It never felt right anyway to me. Some people it works great for them. I do just fine. I'm
Yeah.
different. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Check-
so it's interesting. And then when I tripped into politics, that was a whole nother thing. I was like, okay, really,
Absolutely.
God,
Yeah,
this is where you want me to go?
I know.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
was actually really proud of you because it was very specific. It was about, making sure that those votes counted, that,
Mhm.
that, that there was some authenticity in there. And I remember you going on that journey as well.
Yeah.
And
Still on it.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, and I get judgment all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well, we're not going to live without it.
no, it's
It's
not
not,
ours.
no, it's not ours.
So, all the attacks, the verbal attacks that come to me for whatever I'm doing that people might not like, it's a reflection of them anyway. So, if anybody is watching this that is really getting attacked verbally, maybe social media, whatever, because you're voicing an opinion or whatever it is, maybe even in family or whatever, that's a reflection of them, not you.
Right.
So, stay clear.
Because, yeah, I honestly believe when the world is not going our way, it's hard. It's
Mhm.
hard when the world is not going our way. It is very, very hard when the world is not going our way. But what that can do is it can ignite passion, and it can ignite us into stepping in to something a little bit more to make a difference.
Yeah.
And
Oh
so,
yeah, I would never in 10 years ago, I would never be able to get into politics. I wouldn't be able to go to any meetings, go to a city council. I wouldn't have been able to do anything. I was not that person. I did not have it in me, and now I have no problem doing it. Does it mean I want to stand up and speak? Not always, because a lot of times I really feel like I'm there to ground everything.
right,
And
right.
so I will do a prayer before I go into any of the meetings and just say, what needs to be said. Let what needs to be said. What needs to be heard, so that we can get to the resolution of whatever we're dealing with, right? Um, and really just bring God in full armor of God. Um, I do that a lot. So
Yeah.
sometimes that's the only reason I'm there.
You are a true matriarch.
Thank you.
You are. You are a true matriarch, and you do step into that role, not to be seen, not to push agendas, but really to support and to, like you said, ground. I think that that is very noble.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, very much. So, how does one increase their intuition? So, if
Oh,
somebody is, maybe on the road, and or maybe they're even apathetic, like, I need more than 3 days off. So,
if you do, you do, right?
yeah, but how do we increase that intuition so that we can show up as fully as we're meant to?
You know, everybody's different. Some people have a lot of time to do the spiritual work, and some people maybe have full-time jobs and families and don't have a lot of time to really put into this, even though they want to. So I would say some easy things is your mind. Yeah, you're getting messages all the time. Like we have messages coming all the time, is to, like I was saying earlier, get into a grounded state. However, the easiest way that you can do that is, everybody is different. Um, you could just, walk on some barefoot outside for a little bit, right? Or just walk barefoot. Just kind of let the day go and all the energies go, return to sender, see what you're left with, right? Because those will be your thoughts and your things. Outside of doing like classes to teach people, you could start with this is what I do. So pineapple juice, um, agave, honey. Get back to like natural things. If you're eating a bunch of junk food, and I'm not going to say no to it because I'm not showing you my pantry. but I do have 11 grandchildren, so there's pantry full
Right,
of
right.
stuff. And although I don't want them eating this crap, it happens sometimes. So, but junk food will stop your intuition, right? It's just it's designed to do that, right? And so there's a lot of different things like that I would say. I mean, you can learn how to do it, but if you just want to do some easy stuff, I would just say, start using honey, maybe eliminating some sugar a little bit here and there. If you're one of the sweet tooth people, honey, agave, pineapple juice, what else? And returning to sender helps a lot, because you got to let go of all the energies. Everything's energy, so you really need to be grounded. That's going to be first. I will say that I will align my chakras, and I will just say I need all of my chakras aligned. I need to be balanced, and just saying those things start balancing. And then from there, your teachers show up, right? So if you're willing and you want to learn how to really trust your intuition, teachers will show up. But you're going to need to know which teachers are for, for the best, because you can maybe have two or three, then maybe one's different. There's different paths, right? So there's not one way to do it. So um, follow God, follow the God path, and say, where's the highest and greatest good? And literally, um, an easy way to try to get into it is to just stand up tall, stand, kind of bend your knees just a teeny tiny bit, and then get like a yes or a no. No is back and yes is forward. And so ask a question like, is my name Debbie? Like instantly I want to go forward because that's my name. Is my name Fred? No. I instantly go back. Kind of start playing with stuff, something like that, and seeing how that works.
Yeah, yeah.
That was one of the first things I did, just to kind of get used to how it feels to have your intuition start to kick in. And it's the energy, right? If it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Right. We have to learn to trust ourselves, right? We want to trust ourselves when we are learning about our intuition, because our intuition is behind the programming.
Mm-hmm. It
And
is.
so it's like, what do I need to let go of?
Yeah.
What am I risking? What am I afraid of? And so we can get tricked, and we can get tricked by other people as well.
Again, there
And
are teachers out there,
yes, there
and
are.
I'll tell you, they show up. And teachers, I'm talking about teachers that are going to teach you God's path, right? But there are also people that will come that are teachers of triggers, and they will trigger you, and they will be judgment, and they will be this and that, because they are teaching you. Once you don't get triggered, that teacher's not going to show up anymore.
Yes.
Right. So I always call negative people that show up in my life teachers. So I'm
Yeah.
not, and there's a
Yeah.
place for them. I'm like, here comes another teacher.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What do I need to learn here?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Because sometimes the message is contrary,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we need to learn. And I'm someone who loves positivity. I mean,
Yes.
I've got a big, huge thing of rose quartz right here. You know what I mean?
Yes,
It's like
exactly.
I
I
like the
have
softness. I like the
shungite.
yes. And but
Oh, yes.
sometimes the lesson is the contrary, to where it's like, what is this?
Yep.
But we need that too. And that's not always somebody trying to trick us.
Right.
So, yeah. So, yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and I wanted to ask you to share with us one of the most important relationships in your life.
Uh, which one would that be?
No, I'm
Right.
kind of like, I wonder what she's going to choose. So,
Well, my husband first, but um, the relationship with Christ, I would say, you know, outside of earthly relationships, because, I've got 4 kids and my parents and my husband's parents and everybody I have a connection to each one of them, and they're all, really important. But without Christ, it's ungrounded.
Yeah.
And um, so I would say my husband in Christ. How's that?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how did that relationship with Christ start to develop? Because you said that you knew Jesus. That was
Oh,
something
yes.
you
I
said,
was
but you
raised
didn't.
Catholic, Italian Catholic, so we knew Jesus. Right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it it was just a relationship that just kind of came to be as the spiritual journey kept going, and people were saying, "Oh, you do energy work, and oh, that's voodoo and this and that." And I was like, "No, it's Jesus." Like, that's like, I was like, "Oh my gosh, are you serious?" Like, no, it's Christ energy. This is Jesus Christ, right?
Right.
Um, and so it just started forming. And I wanted to learn how to pray, and I didn't know how to pray. I was doing Reiki, and I could, write clearings and doing stuff, but I did not know how to pray. And I didn't understand the power in that. And so that started coming in, and I was like, "Oh my gosh. Okay." So then I started writing prayers. Once I learned how to actually pray, and praying was the easiest prayer in the world is, "God, thank you. Amen." You don't have to say anything else. You don't have to know how to do these great prayers and get up on stage and do this and that. You can literally just say, "God, thank you. Amen." And that's it. And let it go until it grows, and it will grow. And so I started writing prayers. Like, it has been a few years now, I guess.
I think so.
I
I
think
mean,
it's
because
been
you
about,
do a monthly, is it monthly that
I
you do?
do a monthly prayer, yeah, in a Facebook group.
Yeah.
And I literally, they come to me. My intuition is just set, and sometimes I have no idea until the day before I'm going to even do it. So it's not like, "Oh, I'm going to do a prayer in 3 weeks and I'll just write it." No, it has to literally flood into my mind, and I just write it like that, super fast. Most of the time it's like that. um, and it's always something different than I think I'm going to do, so because I'm not in charge. So
So true.
but it's really interesting how it plays out.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I love that.
yeah,
Well,
and so now, I mean, it's me and Jesus. Like, it's you and Jesus, right? Like, everybody, Jesus is if you look at it like a best friend, your relationship with Jesus Christ is yours. Nobody can tell you. That's the one thing I really want people to know. My relationship with Jesus Christ totally different than Janae's, right?
yep.
A lot, very similar, but there's a difference, and because it's yours. And um, if you're struggling with alcohol or um, food things or relationships or anxiety, depression, whatever, I don't care what it is, you don't have to solve any problems to be in a relationship with Jesus Christ. You just say, "I want to be in a relationship with you," and then you two will figure out what your steps are, and you probably will do it, and it won't even feel difficult.
Right, right. I think when we
Yep.
start to put the rules and
And where do the rules
it
come
has
in?
to look a certain,
Programming.
yeah, it's the programming. It's so true. It's so true.
So stay out of the programming and just let it happen, and
Right.
it'll
Drop the
be
judgment. Yeah,
dropped.
even when I was doing Reiki and, I didn't decide that Christ was going to be behind me and channeling through. It's like he just showed up.
Yeah,
And it was like, oh my gosh, okay, this is what I'm doing. And I honestly, for a while there, felt like I was doing it wrong.
yeah,
I thought, am I doing it? But Reiki is just divine love.
it,
That's what the
absolutely.
the definition of Reiki is.
Yeah,
And to me,
God's love.
Christ is divine love. So I don't need anything more. It's literally, and also I feel that there are lower energies, and I've
Absolutely.
seen them too.
Yep.
And so in my
We fought
Reiki,
them together.
yes, we
Yep.
and so knowing that I have that protector there. So he's my protector as well. And I've told myself through my intuition is that I don't have to be afraid in a Reiki session of what comes up, because God's going to allow whatever needs to come up, period. He's there. He's the protector. So there's safety within that as well. I'm not summoning up something that, that's,
And you
that's
can't
not
have fear and faith in the same.
right.
They're not the same energies at all. So if you're in fear at all, so you want to stay in faith, you want to stay with Jesus Christ, um, Reiki energy, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Divine love, right? Divine.
It's divine love.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that there are some people that are listening to this podcast or the summit and know that we do a podcast
We
together.
do a podcast together, so that's totally perfect. And this is how it goes too.
This is how it goes, right? And so, but for those of you who don't know, Debbie and I have a podcast together called Shining a Light on Reiki. So I wanted to just ask you to share a little bit about your experience in the podcast and what it's brought to your life. We're on year 3 right now. We've been doing the podcast for 3 years. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I don't know if either one of us had expectations at all, but we knew God said, do a podcast. And we're like, okay, how, right? How do we do that?
Yeah.
So we really, we just knew it was the right path. So we did it, not knowing anything. Literally the first and second episode, we were getting psychic attacks crazy. And we just kept going. We just laughed through it because laughter, they don't like.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So we just kept going no matter what. It was very interesting that Janae and I could spend like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months apart, not even speak, no text or anything. And then we get onto the podcast, and right before we would go on air, we already knew what we were doing because her experiences in Idaho and my experiences in California were exactly the same. Our families are they're connected.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that was really cool. So I was always super excited because I was like, I wonder if Janae's going through the same crap I'm going through. And yes, she was. Yes, she was. Every time. So it was really cool. And it was like we knew, like it was obvious that we were supposed to be doing this because we were clearing our own path. So even if the podcast was just for us, man, and we cleared some stuff, and it was not easy, and but we never stopped.
No, I feel like no, we never will. And I just feel like I have this support from you that is just, it's just there. Mm-hmm. It's just there. We don't have to call each other all the time. We text each other. We just don't.
Yeah.
And then we show up and it's like, whoa. And what's funny is that one of us will start talking and the other one is just smiling and laughing because we cannot believe the coincidences, the parallels, all of that stuff.
All over the place.
It's like the weirdest thing.
Yes, it is.
But it is beautiful. Yeah. I really enjoy it.
And we figure out a way to clear it every time. So it's cool.
Well, and what's nice is that we are alchemists, and I know you mentioned that in one of the podcasts towards the beginning is that this we're using these different modalities.
Absolutely.
So we're trained in different things. We do things differently, and so we just complement each other in that way to where we can bring something in that the other, we didn't have. We just didn't have. And you always say it's like a puzzle piece.
Oh, totally a puzzle piece. Yeah. Like we're always each other's missing puzzle piece.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I love it. Well, and I wanted to ask you too, because you do like to travel. You've been different places. And I wanted to ask you what your favorite travel memory is so far.
Spiritual travel memory?
Doesn't matter. It could be anything, any sort of travel.
I love all of it. I know that if I'm going on a vacation or traveling anywhere, that I'm doing God's work somewhere, because that's just part of the work, right? But when I got to, okay, the one that pops out right now is when I got to Mazatlan on a Mexican cruise. I took a picture of this rock where people go out with boats and stuff, and you could see it from the ship. I took this picture, and then I looked at it, and it was Jesus Christ. It was his face. Do you remember me showing you that?
Oh, yes, I do remember that.
I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
stands out right now. Like I could probably come up with 100 different things,
And
but
that's how you know that you're on the right track,
I
right?
knew,
It's
like,
like you look
okay,
at something and you're like, something's going on here. Like I am meant to be here.
yep,
And I think staying present, and that
staying
does come
present
with
is big.
being grounded, right? We get grounded, it helps us to be present. And we're not just here to, at least in my life, I'm not just here to um, go to a theme park or go to look at something.
Right.
It's like there's a whole history there.
Oh,
And
and there's energies.
yeah, the energies.
Everything's energy, but I mean, there's specific energies that you're supposed to be clearing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that shows up a lot anywhere we go, anywhere I go. Or I say we because you too, everywhere we go.
Everywhere we go. No.
Grocery store, Mexico,
Yeah.
I don't know,
We're
Alaska.
pumping gas, going, wait a minute here, this pump needs to be cleared.
Exactly. And that's no joke.
I know
Happen.
there's a lot of collective energy, and
Yeah.
especially in these places
Yep.
that a lot of people travel to. Like a lot of people travel to Mazatlan.
A lot of people,
A
and
lot
not a
of
lot of good things. Although
no,
there's good things that happen there, a lot of not so good things happen
that's
there.
right.
So
That's exactly right.
yeah, but yeah, yeah.
So what's is one spiritual tradition that you want to make sure is passed on to your kids and your grandkids and your posterity?
Oh, prayer.
Yep.
Okay, so when you realize that your grandparents' prayers are still working on you, right?
Yeah.
Um, prayer is everything. So before you get out of bed, do a prayer. I don't care if it's just God, thank you, amen. Get going. That's fine. Protecting yourself with the full armor of God, wearing the full armor of God, saying that you are a child of God, um, really teaching them the power of the prayer and the scriptures, not so much religion, although if that's great, if it works for you, that's great. But the spiritual part of Christ energy, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and to always just make sure that they're praying for the whole family, and so we've been doing that, and I know
Mhm.
you've been doing that too. So my
Yeah.
grandchildren know how to pray.
Yes.
Um, they pray, and
Yeah.
their prayers are. I don't tell them what to say. They do their own thing. They're little, well, five, six of them are little, under 7 years old, so they do it their way, and I don't change anything they're doing because I know they're completely just of divine love right now, right? They haven't been programmed yet, although they will just through life
Of
experience.
course.
But
Of course. Yeah.
uh, really to stay in their grounded state, stay spiritual, and not lose that because they are very intuitive, right?
Yes.
They will
Oh,
lose it as they grow and as they get programmed with the world, but they don't have to, right? We didn't have to, but we didn't have people that knew how to teach us. So it's not
exactly.
like anybody did anything wrong. They just didn't know how to teach us. So
Right.
I'm
Right.
teaching them now so that when they're 50, they don't have to like write down in a journal that they think they're going crazy because they're never going to be crazy. They're always going to know their intuition is spot on because they are a child of God and they are prayer warriors, right? They are God's warriors. So
Yeah,
that's
there's a whole new level of awareness that's coming into our society, and spirituality versus religion, because there is a difference. You can be
yes.
religious and not spiritual.
Well, and
You can
religion is
be
man-made.
it is. That's
Spirituality is
true
not
too.
man-made.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's
Uh,
that's trusting
But, you know, you
yourself.
could go to church and you get something out of it. I mean,
Sure,
I literally will
absolutely.
write something down and I'll go to church with my daughter and I will say, if this shows up today, I already wrote this down. If this shows up in his in his what's it called? Uh,
Sermon
yeah,
or
thank you, sermon.
sermon.
I'm gonna know that that's right, right? And we laugh because
Yes.
every
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
time the message is in it, I'm
Yes.
like, oh, there you go. Now we know what to do. But you
I
know, I
know.
didn't teach my kids when they were little because I didn't know myself. I didn't learn until I was 50, so or even older, that part. So I'm teaching them now too, right? So and they're doing it. They know
Yes.
and they're doing it and the kids are doing it. So the grandkids. So we're gonna keep that going because that is that's health and wealth and everything.
Oh,
And
for sure.
it's
For
generational
sure.
wealth is what I'm giving them
Yes,
by
absolutely.
teaching them that because that will be the prayers that
Right.
protect their grandchildren that will be
Absolutely.
here for a very long time. So,
Right. It's we're not breaking these chains and these patterns for just ourselves.
nope,
We're wanting to prevent
yep. It
our
is
kids
done
from
with
falling
us.
into the same
Done.
thing. Yeah. And that's the only way that we can up level, and the only way that we grow our containers so
Yep.
that we can accommodate the triggers. And I know that we've laughed about this before, is the things that used to trigger us 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's kind of laughable.
Oh my gosh.
And
I
now the
can't even
thing,
believe it.
yeah, we always
Hysterical.
say we always say it's like going back to high school. It's like, oh yeah, I was
Mhm.
50 years old, still in high school.
Seriously. And I'm sure my spirit guys were like, you were more like kindergarten, but whatever. I'm like, I felt like I was in kindergarten.
So much so.
I had so
Sometimes
much
I
to
still feel
learn.
that way.
And the spiritual journey does go like this. You feel like you're in kindergarten, then you feel like you have like a PhD, and you're like, got it, right? Done, got it, and then zap, right back down to kindergarten on
Oh,
something
so
else.
true.
And I'm like, what just happened?
Yep. What
I
just
thought I
happened?
had it. Nope.
And it's like,
Yep.
thank you, thank you.
So yeah, so that's kind of it's constant. But
Especially when you know that you meet up with me and you're like, well, she's back in kindergarten too.
here we go. We're back in kindergarten. Okay. Can just
Yeah,
one of
I don't.
us be the teacher and one be the student? But no, we're always like two students, and then we're like one of us will end up being the teacher. But it's like it's so interesting. It's
Yeah, maybe for 5 minutes. I don't know.
it's fun.
Yeah, it really is
It
fun.
is.
Well, the last question is, what is one thing that we would never guess about you? Do you have any secrets that even I don't know?
Well, I am a second degree black belt
Oh,
in
yes.
boxing.
Tell us about that. Tell
Yeah.
us about that.
You know, I had a lot of energy to, and it was anxiety and um, probably some old trauma. And so I went to learn self-defense. Um, and I took my daughters because I wanted them, they were teenagers at the time. I wanted them to get some, you know, just some regular self-defense stuff. And they made it through like, I don't know, not very long, maybe a month or so or 2 months. And I said to them, I'm going to get my black belt. And they're like, okay, sure you are. I said, no, I'm getting it. And so just started a journey. And I'm telling you, every time I punched that bag, I let go of so much energy. It was beautiful. And so then when I got my second degree black belt, we opened a dojo with my trainer, and we had it for a couple years together. And so I would actually teach. And so when I would teach, you could see the women that were had stuff going on, and I would tell them, "You hit that bag. I don't care what face you put on it, but all your negative energy in your body goes into that bag. That bag is there for that." And so they would do that, and I could see when they would leave after class that they weren't just done with class, but they were healed.
Wow.
Something had healed. Because sometimes you just have to get it. It has to get out, but you're not going to ever talk about it. And the one thing is the bag punching. It's a beautiful thing. It's a
Oh, I love
I
that.
still do it. Yeah. I just started doing the kickboxing again. So,
I
yeah.
love that. That's awesome. Yeah, and we need that. We need that in our
Oh, it's good for
society.
everything, right?
Oh, for sure. We
Mhm.
do. We need that.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody did want to get a hold of you or listen to the podcast, no,
Oh,
but
right.
like how
Right.
would somebody get a hold of you? How
I
they
mean, they
want
could,
to
I'm
work
on
with you or
I'm
talk
on
to you?
Facebook, but I have a website, loveyourjourney.life, and that actually has our podcast on it under
Sure.
podcast.
Yeah,
So they could go there and find it, but it's on Apple.
it's
What is
on
it?
Apple and it's on SoundCloud, right? Yep.
Yeah, so yeah. But you can just go right there. But yeah, I right now what I do is if you want to do a session, I'll do an hour session. They just need to email me because I don't have like a calendar on the website anymore because I'm all over the place. So I need to book a one-on-one appointment. But other than that,
And
I'm on
what's your email
Facebook.
address? Yeah, what's your
Debbie at, oh, I don't know, what is it, Janae? Which one? Let me find it.
I can type
What is
something
it?
below too if
I
I
think it's Debbie at loveyourjourney.life.
perfect, perfect.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
We just got new emails yesterday for our real estate company, so I'm like my mind is all over the place on that too. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you'll have to send me that too, because I think I send you things.
Yes, I will. I
So
haven't even used it yet, but yes.
okay, good.
Yeah. I
Make sure
still
we
have my
stay
old
in
stuff
touch.
too. I have a lot of emails.
Yeah.
But that's that, and yeah. But I hopefully somebody that watches this, there's somebody that's just going to be like get an aha moment or a relief or guidance to go in a direction, right? Because working with Janae is amazing also. So um,
Thank you.
she's extraordinary.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. I
Well,
love you.
yeah. Oh, I love you. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
California to Idaho.
I know it's just crazy. Yeah, Debbie has walked the prayer path,
Yeah.
and it's just it's a beautiful thing. And I've skied on the Delta when I was
See?
yeah,
Yeah.
we well maybe I didn't ski on the Delta, but we boated,
You
up
voted. Yeah,
there. Yeah.
for sure.
I've skied other places. Maybe I have skied at the Delta. It
Yeah.
gets a little muddy out there,
Yes,
so
it is.
yeah, so it's kind of crazy, but I'm grateful for our connection. I'm really happy that you were able to come on and share in just this summit that I put together. I
It's
just felt like
beautiful. I'm so proud of you. That's
thank
great.
you.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
God's path.
Thank you. Well, we're going to sign off. So we want to thank the listeners for watching and
Thank you so much.
absolutely. All right. Well, bye everybody.
Bye.